All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back again outside the square circle. You go ahead. I want you to pound on that like button, subscribe, and make sure you share this all the time. Share this. Let people know, man. We the realest out here doing this, man. You know, I know I watch a lot of people out there, and there's a lot of different other sites that talk boxing, but we the realest. Tell them I said that. We're gonna start off. We're gonna talk about the two things. First, we're gonna start off with Triple G Rolls. I'll guess I'll bring us in talking about it a little bit, and then Frank can chime in, and then we can take it from there. You know, we're gonna bring this right in. Well, look, this is the thing. First off, Triple G did what I expect Triple G to do. He got a guy out of there that isn't on his level. We always know his level to this boxing thing. But a few things struck me and I was interested in. He was getting touched a lot. Mm-hmm. I want to know, is Jonathan Banks, is he going to fix that? Is that something that he can fix? Or is that just Triple G? Is Triple G like, because, you know, some fighters just are who they are. Like, no matter who is Brandon Rios' coach, Brandon Rios is going to get hit. You know what I mean? Because that's who he is. I want to know, is that something that's fixable with Triple G getting touched too much? Because that's something that if he expects that third fight with Canelo, he's definitely going to have to clean that up if he want to get a win. So I want to know, do you think he can clean that up?
You know what? I think the adage that boxers can't change, I think for the most part, is a misconception, because we have seen boxers change in the past. Granted, there are, just like you said, guys like Brandon Reyes, he's not changing. And I think Triple G is one of those guys who's kind of in that mold as well, that especially at this age, he's 37, 38, like there's nothing you can do right now to absolutely change him. He made his living as a hunter. He's going to come forward. He's an aggressive guy. He's looking to get you out of there. And even if he's looking for a decision, he's still going to come forward or at least stay in the pocket. So in terms of that, I don't know how much of that will change. I will say this. I was pretty disappointed just in his head movement in general, though, because he wasn't getting hit like that even against Canelo. He got hit with good counters against Canelo, but on lead shots against Canelo, he didn't really get hit too much. He had good head movement. He even countered a few shots. So to see him get hit like that and to look as lethargic as he did, granted, it didn't look like he was elevating his game to, you know, when he fought Jacobs or Canelo or anything like that. But even that being said, I look back and I look at guys who were at the elite level in the past, and when they fight dudes who are on that CMB level, they look light years ahead. And not to say he didn't look, he still looked ahead of him. But like, think of how Danny Garcia looks when he fights guys who aren't on his level. He just fought Adrian Granados, who is a good fighter. He got him out of there. He looked great. Like, and granted, like you said, we expected this. Triple G did his thing. It's no hate on Triple G. I like Triple G. I'm a Triple G fan. But it was like missing that aura to it of an elite fighter fighting a guy that's clearly a notch or two below him.
Absolutely. And this is the thing. I felt like, I don't know if this is he was doing, like, remember Triple G used to do this thing where he used to let people hit him?
Yeah.
Get his shots in. I didn't like, but it didn't seem like that.
I agree.
You know what I mean? It didn't seem like he was like, oh, come on, hit me. It seemed like he was just getting caught. With that being said, he still looked spectacular. And I'll say this. I thought, and this is just me, I thought they stopped the fight too soon, even though it didn't matter because Triple G was going to get him out of the tournament.
Right.
It was inevitable. It was going to happen, but I'm always the type of guy, I want to see a guy fight or go out on his shield. I feel like you should let the guy get up, give him his fair count, and then continue. With that being said, Triple G, he looked good. Now, I got to say this. I don't want to see Triple G fight Canelo next right away. And the reason being is because I feel like there are other guys out there to fight. I feel like we should build this right. I feel like we should build this up a little bit and let this play out a little bit. I feel like Canelo can, like, he there's a lot of fights out there for Canelo that he's looking at. And I really want to see Triple G versus Demetrius Andrade. I want to see that because this is the thing. That's the title fight. Demetrius Andrade is the WBO champion. Now, this is what happened. Triple G fights him. If he beats him, he takes his belt. Now he can say, Canelo, I'm a champion again. I got a title. Let's unify. That's you know what I said, that's a little bit of meat to that.
Right.
It's not just, we're gonna have another fight again because we should have another fight again. Now, both fights were close. The first and second fight were close. So just off of that, I get that he's like, you know what, we should have another fight. But we don't need to right away. There's still some fights that can be made in 160 division. And Canelo's fighting, he wants to fight at 168 as well. So there's still some more fights out there for Canelo and Triple G. And then we build this back up. You put them back in there, and then we settle this once and for all.
And see, I'm not mad at the logic, but I do disagree with you. But the case that you present it's flawless. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. But I'm kind of on the opposite end of things. The way I'm looking at it, if I'm Oscar De La Hoya, if I'm Canelo, what I see right now is a Triple G that's clearly starting to decline. He didn't look like he looked good, but he didn't look like Triple G. Like, the Triple G that was at his peak for me was the first Canelo fight, was the David Lemieux fight. And say what you will about certain opponents that he fought, but he just looked like a different dude. He was a little younger, a little sharper, a little faster, reflexes were better. So if I'm Canelo, if I'm Oscar De La Hoya, granted, like you said, it would be a trilogy fight just to say, hey, let's do it for the third time. There's no belts, there's no storylines outside of the first two were close. But I think if they wait any longer, I think, one, there are some dudes last Saturday that would have beat Triple G. Andre might be one of them. Mm-hmm. So if I'm looking at it from Team Canelo and Team Oscar De La Hoya, just Golden Boy, I'm saying if we take this fight in September, not only do I feel like we can beat him, I feel like we can knock him out. And that not only that cements that legacy for Canelo, but then you don't even give people a chance to say, because let's just say Triple G does fight Andre or just whoever in a subpar performance but still wins, controversially or what have you. He just doesn't look like himself, and he fights them, and Canelo fights Triple G next year. No one's going to give Canelo credit for that win. You know what I mean? So if I'm looking at it, I'm seeing a declining guy. I want my dude to be seen in the best light and get an easier victory than the last time that they fought.
All right, that makes sense, but I think at this stage it's more beneficial for Triple G team to say, hey, let's do it right now, because you know what I mean, like, because like you say, what if he gets beat by him or get beat by Charlo,
right? And
then the fight is worthless. So it does make sense for the Triple G team to say, let's do it right now. But if I'm Team Canelo, I don't know if I need to. Like, I got a draw, then I got a victory of him. And I have all of the titles except one. I don't really have anything to prove from Canelo. That's how I would look at it.
That's fair. I will say this. I don't think
Oscar feels the same way. That's what Oscar tell him. You seen that when Oscar told him?
Yeah.
Hey, go get a title. Like, I feel like Oscar feels the same way. Like, we don't have anything to prove.
Right. No, and like I said, I'm not mad at that logic. I'm really not. I just feel like as a boxing fan, I want that third fight to get out of the way, because dudes like Andre is, waiting in the wings to fight winners of people, of that matchup. So for me, I feel like dudes like Andre can wait a little bit more because he is younger, whereas Triple G's only getting older. So whoever beats him moving forward, they're not going to get the full credit that they probably deserve, because just because he is getting older and he didn't look like necessarily Triple G in his prime, that didn't take away from him being a fucking great fighter still. That's what people misconstrue. Like, Bernard Hopkins was out of his prime for the last 10 years of his career, but he was still better than everybody. You know what I mean? Like, being out of your prime doesn't mean you're a bad fighter. Manny Pacquiao's out of his prime, but he can still beat a lot of these welterweights. So it's like, I just want to make sure that whoever does fight Triple G, whether it is Canelo or Andre, or let's just say Sulecki beats Andre, who the hell knows? Like, these guys are getting that full credit. Granted, boxing fans are fickle, so they're probably not going to give anyone full credit anyway, but like the most credit you can give them, I guess.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, I don't think there's much more to say about the fight. Like we said, it was pretty uninspiring. He did what he had to do. So just moving forward, looking to the fight this weekend between Tyson Fury and Schwarz, I believe you pronounce it that way. I got a chance to watch a few of his fights. I'll just go ahead and say it. He got picked because they want Tyson Fury to get a knockout before he fights Deontay Wilder. I really don't see this as very competitive. Just his style that he fights in, he didn't have the most power. He's not the most, technically sound. And I think it's going to be one of those things where Tyson Fury is just going to outclass him for 5 or 6 rounds, and either, the corner will stop it, or Tyson Fury's wearing him down so much that the ref will call it, or the doctor. I can't see this fight being very competitive. What do you think?
Well, I was watching an interview with Tyson Fury, and he said a couple of things that had me like, and it's hard to judge if Tyson Fury is just being Tyson Fury, he's just saying things just to say them being funny, or if he really means it. He said two things. First off, he said he's been inactive for 6 months so far. And he said during all of this time, he's just been in the gym. He said he feels a little burnt out. He needs this fight to happen because he feels a little burnt out from the gym. Now, I don't know even if that's the truth, I don't know if that's something you necessarily want to say right before you have a fight. Because the guy can see that and analyze that and say, oh, well, all I got to do is step on the gas. He left everything in the gym. He's going to be a little burnt out. Now, it's hard to judge with Fury. Like, does he really mean that? Or did he just slip up and say that and then he thought about it later, like, oh, crap, maybe I shouldn't have said that? I don't know. And then he also said this. He was like, he wants this to be the most entertaining fight that it can be. He hopes that Tom Schwarz is able to knock him down a few times, give him a couple, spark him a few times, and he hopes this is the hardest fight of his life. Now, either he's so confident that he's gonna beat this guy, he can say things like that, like, "Yeah, I hope he can knock me down. I hope he knocks me down. I hope I have to get up the canvas a couple of times and come back and win," because he just knows that it's not gonna happen, or is Fury letting on to something? It's like, because I seen fighters know that know they probably won't have their best performance, so it's kind of like edge. So it's like they can have the excuse ready. If something goes wrong, they can say, "Well, wait, I told you that I was burnt out from the gym. I told you that I want this fight to be hard and get knocked to the cups out, and it happened." No, he was a game fighter, young, hungry fighter. This guy is undefeated. This guy's undefeated. He came and he rose to the occasion. So that's already built-in excuse. I want to know, do you feel like that's a built-in excuse, or is Fury just being Fury?
I'll say this because I follow your logic. I think, the one thing that me and you have talked about a lot in the past, the thing that's very worrisome to me is when a fighter starts talking about retirement in the before a fight. Like, that was the big thing with Miguel Cotto versus Saddam Ali. He kept talking, I can't wait, I'm going to retire. And it's just like, that's not ensuring to me as a fan to put any sort of money down on you or have faith that you're going to win this fight. So I get that. I will say this, Tyson Fury, the two people in the sport I'll say is Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, where sometimes they're a little bit too honest, because I think most fighters feel burnt out by the time it's time to fight. 6 to 8 weeks is a lot. That's because what people have to realize is that when you're talking about these training camps, I work out 5 days a week. It's about an hour and a half max. These dudes ain't working out for no hour and a half. They're sparring for an hour. They're running for 2. Then they're doing some weightlifting or whatever else they have. So, or fast twitch things. Like, they're doing a lot more than just lifting some weights for an hour and going home. You know what I mean? So, like, I would feel like most fighters feel burnt out, especially ones who are losing weight. Where him, granted, he's a heavyweight, so he doesn't have to lose too much. But he's always talked about in the past trying to get to a proper weight anywhere from like 240, 250, because he's come in bigger, or he started camps much bigger. So I think he's one of those dudes that can be a little bit too honest for his own good, but I don't ever take that from him as a bad sign. Granted, you could be completely right. It could be one of those things where, hindsight could be 20/20. And we're like, man, he was telling us he was burnt out, and he was saying this, he was saying that. But part of me also thinks that after what happened in the Deontay Wilder fight, he may even feed off of that adrenaline rush or that heightened sense of competition. Like, you could just see, and because this is something that we had said, just in talking, we didn't get the podcast started back up, but like, Tyson Fury continued to outbox Deontay Wilder even after he got up from both knockdowns. Granted, he lost both of those rounds due to the knockdown, but even round 12, when he got back up and stood toe-to-toe and rocked Deontay Wilder, you just saw this look in his face where I love this shit. Like, this is what I'm here for. You know what I'm saying? So, like, maybe he sometimes needs a little bit. Maybe he doesn't literally mean I need to get put on my ass, but maybe he just needs to feel that power to be like, okay, this is a fight. Kind of how when Keith Thurman says, like, I'm going to run right in and feel what he got. And then when he got rocked against Soto Karass, when he fought him, that was when he fought a little bit more contained. But some guys kind of need that, you know what I mean? That motivating factor mid-fight.
Yeah, and I agree. But with that being said, for the prediction, I think I'm gonna say that Fury is gonna be Fury. He's gonna put on the boxing clinic, and he's gonna go out there and just outbox this guy, and he may even get a knockout on him. You know, who knows? But I think it may even look like Fury versus Chisora, but Chisora just cleanly outclassed. He couldn't really hit him. He couldn't do much, and Fury just came in there and just looked stunning. And when that happens, we're gonna see Wilder versus Fury next, and that's just gonna be a hell of a fight. I mean, I want to see that fight again because that fight was so close. One could say Fury won that fight, so I definitely want to get a chance to see that fight again, and I think Fury makes things interesting. Now that AJ lost, now let's say he beats Wilder. Now, do we want to see Fury versus AJ if AJ is able to come back and get his titles from Ruiz? Is that the best fight that can be made for boxing?
I would have to say yeah. It also depends though, like how you lose. Like if it's a controversial loss or a robbery, you just kind of go on as if it didn't happen, right? You kind of go on as
Right.
if the right guy won. But if Luis Ortiz beats Deontay Wilder, one, he's going to be looked at as one of the dumbest people in the history for taking this fight before the big, like one of the most lucrative rematches, of all time. But two, I mean that throws a wrench into a lot of plans, just like Ruiz did. So if I'm being honest with you, if I'm Fury, let's say Wilder loses, which I don't anticipate him to, but I would let Ortiz and Ruiz fight, because then now you have a chance to just get all the belts in one fight.
Right.
And you can keep, you could either continue to fight guys on Schwartz's level, or fight Anthony Joshua. You know what I mean? Just to have a guy, because I've always favored him in that fight anyway. I think Anthony Joshua was too mechanical and too methodical for someone like Tyson Fury. The way the triangle in which I have always saw it is that Wilder gives Fury a really good fight because he's so unpredictable and so weird that kind of throws off the natural boxer, right? And the opposite way, where I feel like Anthony Joshua was just way too by the book, he'd get his ears boxed off by Fury, and then kind of that in between where it was like kind of whoever lands first between AJ and Wilder wins. So with that being said, I said all that to say I've always viewed Fury as the top guy since beating Klitschko, really, in the heavyweight division. So if Wilder loses, I mean, he can continue to fight these B-level guys until someone else rises to the top. Keep fighting a mandatory, keep fighting whoever, because it's like I have the argument that I beat Wilder. Anthony Joshua lost. Wilder just lost before he even got to me again. Like, what's maybe just fight Ruiz or Luis Ortiz. I mean, you can do really whatever you want at that point.
I think the king of the heavyweight division is Wilder. I like, and that just I brought up the case that what if, but I expect Wilder, having fought Fury, I expect him to figure Fury out, because he was able to. It took him all the way to like the 11th round, but I expect him to say, okay, I know how to get to unless Fury just comes back in there and get being elusive and get really tricky. But I feel like Wilder can figure him out and know what he needs to do this time, and he gets to Fury a little bit quicker.
And you know what? I have so many different talking points for that. Like, once that fight gets here, we can really break that down. That is one of my thoughts, though, but I just feel like that fight can go. That's why I'm ready for the rematch. I mean, I feel like that fight can go so many ways, because there's an avenue in my head where Tyson Fury gets a knockout. Because let's be honest, he hurt him a couple times in that fight. He hurt Deontay. And I feel like now that he's tasted that power, now that, he has that timing down and that length down, if he hurts him again, he might even go in for the kill, which could be bad for him, and he gets knocked out. Who the hell, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many different things with that fight that I'm excited for. But yeah, I think what it boils down to right now is that this is a two-man division with kind of like Wilder and Ruiz. I'm sorry, Anthony Joshua and Andy Ruiz being like the right underneath that elite level now, because I think that knocked Joshua out of contention for best heavyweight in the world. And I'm not ready to say where I'm at with Andy Ruiz until we do see the rematch. It's gonna happen. So if he does it again, he immediately gets cropped up into that elite level. You know what I mean? So the jury's still out with that. And then I'm excited, man. The heavyweight division is back.
Yeah,
We have we have guys. I think we're starting to have that clear pecking order. But even with that, like, I still wouldn't put money against Luis Ortiz against any of these guys. Like, he's incredible. Andy Ruiz can fight. Joseph Parker's a good fighter. And the way, for whatever reason, people want to act like he was a bum when he fought Anthony Joshua, but Povetkin can still fight too. Like, these guys can all
Miller
fight.
Comes back from this PED situation?
I would certainly hope so, because he was one of those guys that I looked at, in that same realm where, like, maybe you're not on the level of every single one of these guys, but stylistically you can pose problems.
Yeah.
And realistically, these are 200+ pound men landing punches. Like, anything can happen in this division. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like he's another one of those dudes. He's gonna have to have a comeback trail. He's gonna have to start, fight another B or C level guy to just get his name back out there, and then obviously go through a couple of training camps without testing positive. But I mean, realistically, Anthony Joshua can fight him again. If he beats Ruiz, he can just go right back to the drawing board to get the Jarrell Miller fight, because Wilder and Tyson Fury will be fighting again by that point if they win. Before we do get out of here, let's just assume, and we can dig a little bit deeper, afterwards or not. I mean, like I said, this fight's a little uninspiring, just like Triple G and Rolls was. But with Deontay Wilder fighting Luis Ortiz in between the rematch with Fury, who should Fury fight in the interim before he gets the Wilder rematch? Like, should he take another Schwarz level fighter, or should he say should he do the same thing that Deontay Wilder's doing? Is like, fuck it, I'm gonna fight a killer too before, before I get to the ultimate killer.
That's what he needs to do. He needs to either fight another killer or just go straight to Wilder. Because I don't know listen, he said this himself when they asked him, when he took those 2 fights before he fought Wilder, and they was like, are these fights ready? And he was like, listen, either I'm ready now or I'm never gonna be.
Right.
You know what I mean? So either he's gonna take a killer and go and say this is gonna be ready, get me ready for Wilder, or you're just not ready for Wilder.
Yeah, I feel you. And that's something we'll get into next week after the fight. I don't want to do too much previewing beyond the Fury fight, just because we're gonna look like fucking assholes if Schwarz pulls out the win, and we already had this whole plan. You know what I mean? So that'll be on the docket for next week. Dennis, before we get out of here, any last words?
Yeah, man. I want to say, get real soon, Zab Judah.
Oh yeah, yes.
With the brain bleed. I hope he's all right. I think it's a lot of fighters. I got this thing called a quit list, and there's a few fighters on a quit list that I think should just quit and try to do other things with your life and your future. Now,
I agree.
For all the fans out there, I want y'all to tell us, who do y'all have on y'all quit list that you think should quit and should never fight again, either because they're just way past it, or do you think that they're just gonna get hurt soon if they don't stop? Tell us who y'all think is on y'all quit list. But I got a quit list, and Zab Judah's on that quit list.
Let's do that next week as well. Let's get. I haven't come up with one, but that's a really good idea. I'm gonna come up with my quit list too.
All right.
I'm gonna do that. Yeah, no, and you know what? And not to get on my soapbox, but this is exactly why, and I tell people who aren't the biggest fans, and they'll laugh at me, and that's fine. They can laugh all they want. But this is exactly why I do not make fun of any level of fighter. I do my best to not, call people tomato cans. I certainly don't call people bums. Like, that to me is ridiculous.
Right.
But it's because all these guys, no matter what the record is, no matter how much experience they've had, that could be the last time they're ever normal again. They're ever themselves again. You know what I mean? They're ever even alive again. People die in this ring. Like, they're doing this to entertain us at the end of the day. And granted, I do feel like Zab Judah should have stayed retired. He's kind of tried this comeback trail a couple of times, but at the end of the day, he's a competitive guy. Just like me and you are. Like, we don't box, but like, the things that we love, we're not going to quit. I still play basketball 2 or 3 times a week. I love it. I'm never going to go pro, but you know what I mean? Like, I could tear my ACL, knock on wood, but I could tear my ACL one day, and what do we say? Oh, you should have stopped. I love it. I love playing ball. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like, these guys, they do this for a living, and a lot of them don't know, don't have any other avenues. They don't know what else to do. So, that's just a prime example why I don't make fun of any sort of fighter, why I don't, get into the disrespect of any sort of fighters, because at the end of the day, first of all, they'd kick any of our asses. They've been doing this their whole life. You know what I mean? Like, we can sit like, and there's a difference.
Roy Jones proved that when he fought
Oh.
a fan, and it was like, listen, I may not be old Roy Jones, but you're still a fan.
Exactly. But guys, just like Dennis said in the beginning, remember to like, subscribe, share. We are currently on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. So you can, those are the four major markets where, we're needed. If you guys do want us to get on Stitcher or any other sort of podcast app, feel free to reach out. I'll get it up there. But at this point, we just haven't had any requests. So I'm just sticking with those four for now. Go ahead and like us on Facebook, Outside the Squared Circle. We post pretty often. That can be an avenue where you guys reach out to us. Give us any sort of topics. Like Dennis said, give us your quit list. Let us know, the guys that it's time for them to hang it up. Also, follow us on Instagram. I will follow back. Generally, Dennis handles the Facebook. I handle the Instagram. So any sort of engagement you'll get, it's going to be kind of that. I know I go over to Facebook every now and then and mess with it. But I'm more of an Instagram guy just when it comes to content. So, guys, thanks for listening. I know this was a little bit shorter of an episode, but there wasn't too much to talk about. We'll be back next week just with more headlines and things. Thanks for listening. This was episode 6. We will be back next week with episode 7.